Welcome back to my garden. So in the previous video I did a DIY Caldera cone from aluminium platters. You can see it's rather battered now. And so I'm going to try and make a second version, but from titanium. There's a new product called I think it's the Featherlight, which is a Kickstarter product for making a split Caldera cone, which is like this, but it will fit inside my pot. The problem with that one is that it looks like a great product, but it's 50 quid or 55 quid plus shipping, which is, you know, a decent price for something that's kind of like made in small quantities. But I'm a cheapskate, and you know, I thought, well, how, you know, can I make something similar? It probably won't be as good, but also it'll fit my pot, because their version fits a small 7cm pot, not the tall Fire Maple, even though the diameter is the same. So it would probably come up to about here or something. Reduces the efficacy of a Caldera cone, because the whole point is they're funneling the heat there, but also they're funneling the heat up, so they're heating more of the pot and also protecting it from the wind. Maybe I can make my own, so I'm going to try and make a split Caldera cone in titanium foil. I do have the former, you know, this to base it upon. As you saw in my other video, I made this from aluminium foil. You can see how battered it is. It's been great, apart from I started to have to repair it a lot. So what have we got here? Well, we've got the card, which we'll talk about in a minute. We've got the single hole punch, which I found at Ryman's. I didn't have that last time. I had to use a drill bit. Tape, titanium foil, a pen, scissors, and a ruler, and some paper. My original version of this, I modelled it on a CAD software, and it was going to be all singing and dancing. And this time, I'm going to kind of wing it, because I've got this. You might want to go through that video first, and then do this one. As I found last time, we had to create seams. That's what the tape bits are, because unless you have a very wide piece of titanium or of aluminium foil, you really have to do it in bits that way, where you've got like a curved piece of paper you print out from the tool, and then you stick it to the thing and cut it out. So this time I'm going to use the material as is, and then angle it. When I need to do some research into that, hence the card. So the idea of the card is to make mistakes on the card, which is cheap, apply it to the more expensive titanium foil when we know what we're doing, because this is going to be a bit of research. I'm going to wing it a little bit. Last time I modelled it, and it's hard to work out the angle of the cone where it joins. You've got two cones, one there, and then they slot into each other, and I don't know how to model those two, and then I'm not sure how I'd build it anyway from the model. You need more material width to do that. So we'll keep this to one side. This will be stage 2. Let me draw out what I'm planning to do, which is where I got the paper. Yeah, so we've got a cone like that. Now the width is 11.5 centimeters. Yeah, I'm in metric, deal with it. And the height on the previous one was 18 centimeters. And the width here, I think, I sort of measured it, but I think it's either 17 or 18. I don't know, I think it's 18. It looks like it's more 18. It's hard to tell because it's so battered. Now it doesn't really matter about this angle, as long as there is an angle for the cone. You know, I think that's probably quite a good angle, but it could be a little bit taller, the angle could be a little bit more, was it oblique or acute, but you know, it could be out. I don't want to get too wide at the base, because I'll probably run out of card. I might even have to attach a bit more of the card to the end for the tab. What we're doing is we're creating two cones which slot together, and then there's going to be a notch in there for the top one for the handle. So there's that notch there. They're going to... Why not make lots of noise outside my house? Why not? And so there'll be like, it'll wrap around like that. So it'll be It'll wrap around itself like this and then connect in some way. The size of my titanium foil is 20 centimeters by 800 centimeters, and I've done the circumference checks and it's about 36 for that, and that's going to be wider for the bottom, but I think I've got enough because I just cut it in half. So I'm thinking of having this overlap as 1 centimeter each side. That will be 10 centimeters. Inside that pot, that width can take 10 centimeters, I think a bit more than 10 centimeters. So we can't make these any bigger than 10 centimeters. Hence why we're doing the split Caldera cone, so they can fit inside here. So that's the idea. And of course we'll put holes in. Apparently you should have twice more holes in the bottom than you do the top. I'm going to put less holes in this time. I put too many holes in last time. Yeah, it is quite a thin hole punch. It's only 6mm, so I probably will nibble out holes. This is where this really helps, to have a kind of an existing thing to model it off. There, it's 12 centimeters before we get to the handle bit, so that's good. So how do you work out how high your Caldera cone should be? Well, you've got the pot itself. So in my case, the pot height, a bit over 13 centimeters. Then you've got the stand on your stove, so it's plus that height. Now in my case, that is 5 centimeters. The pot is slightly bigger than 13, but it doesn't matter if there's a little bit of at the top, a little bit extra, you know, slightly poking out the top, because you probably want that, because you don't want it to be lower than the Caldera cone, because then you'll probably find it difficult to get out. And things like the lid, that lid would foul it. If you've got a flush lid, then it's not a problem for it to be lower than the Caldera cone. It might be a benefit. That needs to sit above anyway. You know, it depends what stove you've got. With alcohol stoves, if you're looking at this for any of the stoves, I don't know why you're here, because this only ever works with alcohol stoves. I mean, don't know, you could adapt it to other stoves maybe. The pot has to sit an inch above the flame. So that's 2.5 centimeters plus the height of Speedster, which is about 2.5 centimeters, so hence 5 centimeters. So hence that's how we came to the figure of 18 centimeters. The height of the cone. I was going to have a thing which had a level here, which you might want to do. I was going to put like holes in here and put a grill or something. For frying, you want to have the frying pan on top, but I found that actually all I needed to do was do that and put this. It's a little bit less. It's a mod I could do very easily, and then put sort of, you know, tent pegs or skewers through, but then sit it on there. But I was like, I don't want to complexify it really. If that's a word? Probably not a word. I think that's everything. We shall see. So we're gonna, not inches. Stop. So I'm a metric person. I do not do inches. So what we want to do is create strips, long strips of 10 centimeters, you know, or whatever height you're going for. It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, this is the thing. If it had to be exact, I'd be screwed, because I'm not very good at exact things. The nice thing about card is that, you know, I can adapt it, or, you know, stick it, you put tape on it, and then just kind of get it to a level of where I think, yeah, this is going to work. If this is a complete fail, then I've only wasted a bit of card. I'm always amused by the people who think that somehow where I live is a party capital. It's not really that kind of place. I mean, some of you will have guillotines, and I've got a guillotine which I probably should be using. I couldn't be bothered to bring it out. I don't know how guillotines would work with titanium foil though. I'd much rather it be wonky and not wrecked. Scene number one, take the lid off. So number one, so what you want is an angle. Can we do it like this? Or we have to do a rethink. If we've got a dip in the centre like that, it could work. So I'm thinking, kind of like to create a tab to offset that issue. We do that. But that does create an area for, well, you could put the handle, you could cut into that quite easily. It's going to be a weird shape. It doesn't matter if it's a weird shape as long as it fits. And this is where we really wish we had 3 hands. So let's tape it in there. And then maybe, I might be wrong, but so we've got the cone shape. That's cone number 1. And that sits in there. But we'll probably cut out a notch here to fit for that when we've got something that we're happy with. There's no point in spending hours cutting it and shaping it and then find out it's not going to work. When we do this properly, maybe that could maybe go into a slot there. Could do it again for another one. This is the bit I don't know how it's going to work. I really don't know how this is going to work. Now, maybe this is where this might help. So I bet you anything it's the wrong angle. What we need to do is create this a little bit bigger to the point of where it fits over that. But in a way, we kind of want to almost like an inverse of that so it slots in. How the angles change when you've got that centimetre overlap, I don't know. So it might be easier just to fit it inside and tape it. It becomes a format for the other. That probably is the way to do it. Of course, yeah, we don't have 3 hands to do this. So then we have 2. So will that work? What worries me slightly is, will they slot together properly? Or even, will they just sit? That's a possible. That's an idea. Maybe they just sit on top of each other. Make that slightly bigger. Aha! Rather than slotting, they just sit on each other. So the question is what's the height of that? And we could always create 3 of them, I suppose. It's still too low at the back. Maybe it's just an angle thing. Match the angle. This is terrible. Right, that does create a cone though. But how tall is that? Because that will be obviously the biggest. 16. I mean, does it matter if the angles are slightly not matching? Oh, this is going to be a real faff, isn't it? I'm starting to wonder if it's do 3. So 3 coils. Which is a bit of a faff, but it is a fiddly process. I'm going to say this is research, so I don't know if this is going to work. But if you can create 3 cones like that, that's slightly bigger than, all 3 are slightly bigger than each other, so they sort of slot onto each other. Oh, of course. Can the tape just flipping work? Thank you. Of course it's going to come off. Of course it comes off. Useless tape. This is why we proof these things. Yeah. Problem with fitting inside is that reduces the size inside. It still fits in, but it's not high enough. So yes, I'm going to see if I could create a 20 centimetre version of this, and whether I can sort of hack it to fit inside the pot. I don't know, we'll see. If it was 14 centimetres or 13 centimetres, it would work really well. And there's always an option of kind of doing something like this, but then it's going to be, you know, most of the size of the pot, so yeah. So we could create a sort of a simple windshield like that. And so that's what I was wondering, whether I could do a 20 centimetre strip and then hack it around. It might then fit inside the pot. It might not. Okay, that's not very accurate. Of course, then you need a third hand to put the sticky tape on. So we've got that. I mean, we can trim it on the inside as well, I suppose, because as long as there's some kind of overlap, it doesn't have to have all of that top either, so. It's like a large Dalek. Just ruler. That's right in front of me. Idiot. Right. Yeah, it's well bigger. Because we could trim out all the stuff around there, then mark on here where it sits. So we've got a guide to where that sits. And we probably put more overlap in because, you know, it'll probably shift. The question is, if we mark off 10 centimetres below this, or 9 centimetres, will that mean it becomes a strip around? Will that work? 9 on that. That's the right. Almost 18. In fact, it's bigger than 18. So I've marked all around this, so it's kind of shifting a bit, which is annoying. But yeah, if I then measure 9 to that, that comes out as 18. So you're obviously kind of slightly relying on this being flat, which is, it's not. So we now have a cut line, and then we also have a cut line there, which should be like, there's a danger this might now go mad. Spasm. Spasm hand. Cramp. Okay, that's better. And so we can mark 10 along here. We can cut this from one piece of titanium. Even if it's some weird shape, which it will be. Because cones. If not, I'll have to do this again. So glad I did this with card rather than try and do this with titanium foil, because it would probably go very wrong. I'm sure we've probably created a kind of a curved shape somehow. Now, does that fit? Please fit. Yes. Ta-da! Right, so we then just have to create a kind of a notch in here. We can just measure that up to match this, really. Wow, that's not too bad. I shouldn't sound surprised. And looks like, if we get this correct, we might not need to have notches. It might just balance on each other. If I could get really wide titanium foil, wider than this, we could have done it the old other way, proper way, and done it all with computers and things, but nope. Fascinating world of cones. Just designing little notches, so I'm thinking that could slot in there on the inside and maybe do something similar. Just kind of a little notch and groove. We'll see. And I'll do similar on that as well. A little notches. Where the notches on the go? I've got a pen in my mouth. I made a bit of a mistake. I started cutting that and I was like, no, this is not going to work, is it? Because it needs to kind of notch into the thing. This one works better, I think. Slightly modified the tabs because I thought the other one was a bit too weak. Same on here. Moved it up a bit so the little tabs weren't too close to the bottom. I'm going to get a knife and see if I can cut them, and so they actually do slot together. In the very least, I could actually use little clips like this, which I use on here, we could work it out. We can work it out. Can we build it? Be surprised, but with the little slot and grooves, it's gone right. It's slightly snug, but that's not a bad thing. Yeah. So where are we going to put the holes? Probably well away from where the slot and grooves are. Thinking maybe, I don't know, 4 and 2 or 8 and 4. Or is that too much? I can add more and I can't take one away, so maybe do something like 4 and 2. Marking it, I thought I'd just, I wouldn't get the depth right. I thought I'd just use the hole punch. So we know got roughly where they're going to be. They're probably bigger than this, but I'll do for the moment. I might stay that size, but yeah, I probably will. So sort of 2 at the back, and then 4 at the bottom, and then... So yeah, the slot is in. So the moment of truth, I've got my stand there. Huh. Yes, that works. Bit of a weird kind of angle here, but that's not the end of the world. Yes, both do coil in the pot. Yay, that's a success. Prototype works pretty much. We'll still see if it translates into titanium. Magic. Now suddenly we've jumped about a month because I had to wait for this to arrive because I didn't have enough titanium foil and it took forever, and then we had all the things in the way and then the weather was crap. So now we're going to try and do the end of this DIY Caldera cone. What I've got is the guide, some clips to clip it to the table. This is rolled up, it probably might boing everywhere, probably, and a pen, and of course the hole punch. Now I'm doing this in a bit of a hurry because I want to go out to Leith Hill and test it. I'm not sure if I'm going to get this done in time, especially if I can't get the plastic off the this thing, and there is a danger of me damaging myself. Very, very big danger. Lay this down. Let's make sure we've got the right one. Yep, this is the wider one. Make sure that's flat. What I'm going to do is just draw around. Give me a guide of where to. As I say, it doesn't have to be exact. My cutting was incredibly wonky on this piece of, so there are bits where I might actually just smooth it out a bit. Indication of where this should be. Oh, and I've got the scissors, of course I forgot the scissors. I really wish I had a bigger table. So yeah, make sure you have a big enough table to do this on. You could maybe stick it to it. I was going to cut it with it on, but I think it's probably silly. It's more like to cut into the former. But as I said, what worries me is the fact that I've only got a certain amount of titanium, and I don't really want to wait another 6 weeks for it to arrive. Okay, here we go. And yes, don't do this with your prize scissors. And I'm using 0.1 millimeter foil. You'd probably get away with maybe 0.2, but anything bigger you probably wouldn't be able to. Oh crap. Of course, there's a tiny little sliver. There we are, first part. I've got the bigger piece out. I just need to cut the... This is the scary bit, I think. This side is more difficult because unless you happen to be ambidextrous. And there we are, so we've created those little tabs. And the fun bit. I'm probably going to get this exact, but it doesn't really matter. There we are. Haha. Oh, this is a lot. This bit is fun. Oh, I slightly missed the hole. Doesn't matter. Just remembered something. We need to create a slit in it, don't we? I didn't mark that. That was a bit dumb. That will need to be a knife. And guess what I haven't brought out? So yeah, don't forget to do that. Don't forget to mark the slit as well. Why did I miss that? I don't know. That gives us a chance to sort of see how it measures up. Close. No cigar. Just clamp it together. Now we've got a knife and a pen. A fine pen. I'll probably mark through here. Yes, you can't really do this with the scissors. And I don't really, obviously, if you are worried about your table, put some board or something down. I don't really care about this table. You can see the slit I'm making, or trying to make. Maybe we can just snip them off with the scissors. There we are. So there's the bottom bit done. Opening up this one. Oh, wow! That's quite a spring-loaded, scary thing. Oh, did I do the wrong? Oh no! I did the wrong side. I did the wrong bit on the wrong. You idiot! Oh, that was the bit that was supposed to be on this bit, and this bit was supposed to be on the other bit. I screwed this up. Completely screwed this up. Go and order another piece of this. Oh, yes. So I had to wait ages for this to arrive because of the mistake I made in the last bit, and this is many weeks later. So to recap, we've got this bit done. Let's see if we can take it out of its bubble wrapping. I have to say this seller was much better than the other one about the way they package things. I should have done this off camera. So here we are, and hopefully it won't take another 3 weeks. 2 weeks, because that took forever to arrive from China. Hopefully it's not screwed. As I said before, it's not an exact science. I can't believe I started this weeks before the Peak District collab and started in June, and now it's middle of July, all because I screwed up. Never rush things, people. Oh yeah, I forgot this last time, didn't I? We need the little fine liner for, which I forgot, of course. Maybe I could do it with the knife and just score it through. The holes make very good registration points. Reason for maybe doing the holes early on in your thing. Yeah, we have a lot of spare titanium. Don't know what I'm going to do with it. Yeah, of course it stopped recording, so I'm just cutting out the things. And you missed the road rage. You missed the people shouting F off at each other. Such is the loveliness of this neighbourhood. A road that is residential but annoyingly busy. Anyone who's watched my videos know how much I love that. The most difficult thing is these little tabs. Trying to cut those out. I tried to fold them back on the previous one, that didn't work very well. It's also very hard to show you, especially when it's boinging in my face. Yeah. Boing, boing, boing. Really should have done it the other way around. The reverse bend, that was a good tip. I'm sure I get loads of comments about, oh, you can do it this way, you should have done it this way. Yeah, well this is the first time doing this, so I'm sure there are better ways of doing it. Especially taking out these little tabs. I did think of using a knife. I did try to use a knife, it's a bit weird. It's not very easy. Oh. Tea's ready at the news station. Not happy about how close that is to the edge. Might leave that at the moment. Yeah, I really should have brought out the ruler. There we are. So that's all cut out. Just try and flatten it a bit. That's the fun thing about these, is that the tabs get a bit hard to insert because they're not flattened. You almost want to roll them down. I'm sure you could sandpaper it down, or, you know, if you want to. Can you go scream somewhere else, like your own house? Now doing the fun bit. I like this bit. Yeah. Oh, you see, apart from when you almost slap it into your eyes, that's not a fun bit. There we are. So, we've now got the two parts. The moment of truth. That's the top part. So we do the bottom part first. Again, I might just roll these down a bit. Whether I need to do two of the tabs, I don't know. I'm not totally sure. Ah, that's good. Okay, so that's the bottom cone. And then the moment of truth with those two bits line up. I'm trying to slice my hands open. Ah! I should have drawn blood, but be very careful with this. Wear gloves if you want. I'm just being very careful, but I'm very surprised I haven't done some major damage. That kind of moves a lot more than I'd like. Probably because I made the slits a bit bigger, it moves around. It's not probably won't affect how it works in practice. That'll bend round as you coil in your pot. That'll bend round. So yeah, not too bad. That looks pretty cool. Yeah, I could possibly cut off those endings so they're not so sharp. I might do that actually. Just make them a bit more blunter. So they're a bit less spiky. Yeah, that's kind of shifted a bit because I made the, as I said, I made the slits a bit too big because I struggled with the other one getting the bits in. Otherwise, yeah, it's pretty good. Unless it's really blowing a gale, and I'll have clips with me, and I have clips from my little stand. But you know, yeah, it looks a bit of a fudge at the back. Let's go and get the pot. So let's get the stand, because the stand has these little clips, which I could very easily use one of them to clip the. I could take some clips with me even, so it clips together like that, but it doesn't need two of them, so it could actually be a multi-use thing. So there's the stand. There's that. Moment of truth. Aha, yeah. There's a little bit of movement around it. But unless it's really blowing a gale, I can't see that's going to go anywhere, because it fits fairly snugly on here. It's the only slight problem is snagging on that. That could be where they're having a clip. I really don't know how. Fireproof. My bulldog clips on. But yeah, I think that's a success. As I say, these will curve around as you keep it in your pot anyway, I think. I can always blunten those edges. So I'm going to try that tonight or tomorrow at the Hamlands camp. Another Dalek. Another Dalek windshield. And as I say, a bit more expensive than I was planning. Still a lot cheaper than the 55 quid. Mostly because I screwed up. 5 quid for one of these, which is, you don't need one of those. And then it was 11 quid for one of the titanium pieces, then 6 quid or 7 quid for another. Yeah, about 20 odd quid, 25, 23, whatever. So it's half the price. The card was a couple of quid. So yeah, I would say about 25 quid. Obviously, if you don't want to spend the time and you want to support that other project, then go for it. if you're like me, like, oh, can I do something custom for me? Because that one only would go up to about here or so. So it wouldn't be the right height anyway. So this is custom for my pot, for my fire maple. So that means it's better for me. Remains to be seen how it works in the field. Literally the field, because I'm going to be camping in a field tonight. So what did I learn from this? Number one, have the right tools. This is good. Having a ruler would have helped getting those slits right. Get plenty of this. But be very careful. Don't rush your project like I did and then have to wait for another piece of titanium. So now I've got loads of spare titanium. It actually cost me an extra 11 quid. So it's more like 36. Prototype it. The prototype bit worked really well with the card. It's a cheap way of doing it, so you don't, screw up the expensive titanium. And I could have done it with aluminium foil. The thing about aluminium foil is you would need tin snips for that, because the platter type stuff really just crumple and stuff like that. This won't crumple as easily, it's stronger for the sort of thin, lightweight. So you need a heavier grade aluminium, you need tin snips for that. You can't just use scissors, you have to, so this is where titanium is a bit better. You use normal scissors, you don't have to get tin snips, which I don't have any tin snips. So you could do aluminium, but it'll be cheaper, but you'd have to invest in some tin snips, and it'd be heavier. So now remains to be seen if it fits in the pot, actually. Yeah, maybe these slits a bit too big. The problem is that you make them too small and they can't, they hold it into place, but then it gets harder to slot it in. There we are, I think. Yes, it does fit. It's a little bit, boings up a bit, partly because I left these things in. So yeah, it has a tendency to ride up, but that stays on. So that'll do for me. That's the idea. So it fits in my pot. Pot stops it puncturing my sleeping pad or something. So, which is always a problem with the version 1, is that I had to put it into its own little pouch because I was so worried about it puncturing something. So yeah, that's a win, I think. I never really thought about this, but because you've got that one, that could just be a normal windshield. As if you want to go super light, you could just take that and not have the Caldera cone part. That might be a thing to keep in mind when you do yours, is that if you had that as a level top, or this shorter, you could then use it with a frying pan. We're going to try a new Caldera cone V2. First inaugural use of the Caldera cone. That seems to be a rolling boil, but it seems to be have done really, really quickly. Yeah, it was very, really good.